présidente de l'Assemblée.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Abbas, President of the State of Palestine, and to invite him now to address the Assembly.
In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Thompson, President of the General Assembly. Your Excellency, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, heads of delegations, peace and God's blessing be upon you all. I had hoped that I would not be compelled to deliver this statement today. Had the cause of my people been justly resolved, genuinely heard, and that hearts and minds would have acted to lift my people from oppression. As you all are aware, we have accepted the primacy of international law, the resolutions of international legitimacy, and made a historic and immense sacrifice when the PLO, the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, accepted to establish the State of Palestine on the 4th of June 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. What more can be asked of us? We remain committed to the agreements reached with Israel since 1993. However, Israel must reciprocate this commitment and must act forthwith to resolve all of the final status issues. It must cease all of its settlement colonization activities and its aggressions against our cities, villages, and refugee camps. It must cease its policies of collective punishment, its demolition of Palestinian homes, its extrajudicial executions, and the arrest of our people, in addition to releasing the thousands of prisoners and detainees. It must also cease its aggression and provocations against the holy Al-Aqsa Mosque. For all of these policies and practices prevent an environment in which peace can prevail in our region. How can anyone seeking peace commit such actions? In this regard, we reaffirm that we cannot accept the current situation. We will never accept the humiliation of our people. We will never accept temporary or interim solutions. Our people will never accept to forego their national institutions and achievements, having attained them through great sacrifice, suffering, and pain. We will preserve the independence of Palestinian decision-making, and we will act to fulfill the aspirations of our people via political and diplomatic means, while relying on international law, the legitimacy of international resolutions via the United Nations, and all international fora. We will seek to mobilize Arab and international efforts towards achieving this end. We will not accept the continuation of the current situation. The 1993 Oslo Accord was intended to end the occupation, to achieve the independence of the State of Palestine within 5 years. Yet, Israel renounced the agreements it signed, and to this moment it persists with its occupation and continues to expand its illegal settlements, which undermines the realization of the two-state solution on the basis of the 1967 borders. Does Israel want one state? Despite the adoption of 12 resolutions by the Security Council condemning Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory since 1967, none of these resolutions were implemented, thus encouraging Israel to continue its plans for the seizure of more Palestinian land in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, with impunity. The violent actions of Israeli settlers have gone as far as the formation of terrorist groups that set entire families on fire, kill them, destroy properties, and uproot the trees that are the livelihoods of Palestinian families. Israel's disrespect and contemptuous policies have gone as far as attempts to legalize the settlements and the settlers colonizing our occupied land since 1967. It even led to the Israeli Prime Minister claiming that the call for the cessation of settlements and their dismantlement constitutes ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing. All such attempts are null and void, and it will constitute a clear, grave violation of international law. So who then is practicing ethnic cleansing? In this regard, I am compelled to warn you again that what the Israeli government is doing in pursuit of its expansionist settlement plans will destroy whatever possibility is left for the two-state solution along the 1967 borders. The settlements are illegal in every aspect and any manifestation. The settlements are illegal. We will therefore continue to exert all efforts for the adoption of a Security Council resolution on the settlements and the terror of the settlers. And we are undertaking at the moment extensive consultations with Arab countries and other friendly countries on this matter. And we hope that no one will cast a veto against this draft resolution. Israel's racial discrimination against the Palestinian people has become a daily reality, as it continues to favor the Israeli settlers on our occupied land, including by granting them permits for residential construction, as well as for factories, economic projects, and infrastructure, such as roads, electricity, and water networks, while at the same time preventing the Palestinian owners, the owners of the land, from use of their land and prohibiting them from developing their economy. In the West Bank, including Jerusalem and the Jordan Valley and the Palestinian shores on the Dead Sea. It continues with its illegal blockade of the Gaza Strip and continues to alter the identity and status of the occupied East Jerusalem to commit aggressions and provocations against our Christian and Muslim holy sites, especially Al-Aqsa Mosque. These continued Israeli aggressions against our Muslim and Christian holy sites amount to playing with fire. Again, it amounts to playing with fire. No one knows what will happen if these aggressions continue. All of these Israeli policies, actions, and measures are the reasons behind the failure of all international efforts, and particularly those of the International Quartet over the past 13 years. Just as Israel had sabotaged the efforts of successive American administrations over the decades. Here, I must once again appeal to you to provide international protection for the Palestinian people, suffering under occupation since 1967 in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip. I extend my deep appreciation in this regard to the Secretary General and the Security Council members who convened an area meeting of the Council to explore the options for international protection for my people. And I urge that these efforts continue. If you do not ensure our protection, then who will? Who can provide us with international protection if the United Nations is unable to do so? Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, Israel today continues its attempts to evade an international conference for peace, which is a proposal by France, a proposal that received the support of the majority of the world's countries. In June of this year, a ministerial meeting was held in Paris to prepare for this conference. It was attended by 28 countries, along with 3 intergovernmental organizations. It remains our hope that such a conference will lead to the establishment of a mechanism and a time frame for an end to occupation in accordance with the relevant resolutions of the international community, the principle of land for peace, the Arab Peace Initiative, which calls inter alia for a just and agreed solution for Palestinian refugees in accordance with Resolution 194. We hope that all states of the world will support the convening of this international peace conference before the end of this year. If there is no international peace conference held and no direct negotiations between us and the Israelis, then how can peace be made? No peace conference and no negotiations. How can we speak about peace? How can we make peace? Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, instead of Israel acknowledging the atrocities it committed and continues to commit against our people, the Israeli Prime Minister has the audacity to criticize Palestine's statement at the Arab League summit in Nouakchott in Mauritania because we referred to the Balfour Declaration. I say to him today that our recognition of the existence of the State of Israel in 1993, a recognition which remains valid to this moment, is not a complementary recognition. Israel must reciprocate with a similar recognition of the State of Palestine. We recognize Israel and continue to recognize Israel. However, Israel must recognize the State of Palestine and put an end to its occupation of our land so that the State of Palestine can coexist alongside the State of Israel in peace and security as good neighbors, while each within secure and recognized borders. Mr. President, Ladies and gentlemen, there is no conflict between us and the Jewish religion and its people. Not at all. Our conflict is with the Israeli occupation of our land. We respect the Jewish religion. We respect the Jewish religion fully. It is a monotheistic religion, and we respect it just as we respect other religions. And we condemn, in this regard, the disaster that befell the Jewish people during World War II in Europe, the Holocaust. And we view it as one of the most heinous crimes that was perpetrated against humanity. A historic reconciliation between the Palestinians and the Israelis requires that Israel acknowledges its responsibility for the Nakba that was inflicted on our Palestinian people and is still being inflicted to this very day. This will open a new era of coexistence and will serve to build bridges rather than walls. I believe that the Arab Peace Initiative presents a reasonable, innovative solution. Yet, Israel continues to insist on being selective, picking and choosing from this initiative, such as the establishment of relations with the Arab countries first, without ending its occupation of Palestinian and Arab lands first. This is definitely a recipe for more conflict in our region. We will not accept this, and no one else will. The Arab Peace Initiative should be implemented in full, from A to Z. And Israel must understand that. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, by the end of this year, 100 years would have passed since the Balfour Declaration. 70 years since Al-Nakba of the Palestinian people. And 50 years since Israel occupied the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip. Yes, 100 years have passed since the notorious Balfour Declaration, the infamous Balfour Declaration, by which Great Britain, gave, without any right, authority or consent from anyone, the land of Palestine to other people. This paved the way for the Nakba of Palestinian people, their dispossession, their displacement from their land. And as if this were not enough, the British mandate interpreted this declaration into policies and measures that contributed to the perpetration of the most heinous crimes against a peaceful people in their own land, a people that never attacked anyone or partook in a war against someone. Therefore, we ask Great Britain, as we approach 100 years since this infamous declaration, to draw the necessary lessons and to bear its historic, legal, political, material, and moral responsibility for the consequences of this declaration, including an apology to the Palestinian people for the catastrophes, misery, and injustice this declaration created, and to act to rectify these disasters and remedy its consequences, including by the recognition of the state of Palestine. This is the least Great Britain can do. In addition, Israel, since 1948, has persisted in its contempt for international legitimacy by violating United Nations General Assembly Resolution 181-2, the partition resolution, which called for the establishment of two states on the historic land of Palestine according to a specific partition plan. Israeli forces seized more land than those allotted to it, and this constituted a grave breach of Articles 39, 41, and 42 of the United Nations Charter. In the preamble of Resolution 181-2, the partition resolution, in paragraph C of the preamble, it is stated, and I quote, "The Security Council determine as a threat to the peace, breach of the peace, or act of aggression in accordance with Article 39 of the Charter, any attempt to alter by force the settlement envisaged by this resolution." Regrettably, however, the Security Council is not upholding its responsibilities to hold Israel accountable for its seizure of the territory allotted to the Palestinian state. Over half of the Palestinian territory was overtaken by Israel. Again, it is not upholding its responsibility to hold Israel accountable for its seizure of the territory allotted to the Palestinian state according to the partition resolution. I appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen, to read this resolution again. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we continue our efforts to build the foundations of a culture of peace among our people. We stand firmly against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We condemn it regardless of its source. Our region is a prime victim of terrorism, and it has endured its wrath over many years. We support the unity of people and the territorial integrity, as well as political solutions for all of the conflicts in Syria, Libya, Iraq, and elsewhere. We also support the efforts of the Brotherly Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to strengthen the foundations of legitimacy in Yemen. We support the efforts deployed to overcome terrorism, extremism, sectarianism, and violence. I appeal to you to stand united against terrorism, which knows no religion. Terrorism knows no religion. In this context, I wish to reaffirm that there is no way to defeat terrorism and extremism, no way to achieve security and stability in our region without ending the Israeli occupation of Palestine and ensuring the freedom and independence of the Palestinian people. So fighting terrorism and extremism begins when we end the Israeli occupation of Palestine, and as such, terrorism will end. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we continue our genuine and dedicated efforts to achieve Palestinian reconciliation. with the formation of a national unity government in accordance with the political reform of the PLO and the holding of presidential and parliamentary elections. We are committed to reconstruction in Gaza, to alleviate the hardship of our people and to lift the illegal blockade imposed on our people. Mr. President, we extend our hands to those who want to build peace. But the question remains and persists. Is there any leadership in Israel, the occupying power, that desires to make a true peace? Is there any leadership that will abandon the mentality of hegemony, expansionism, and colonialism, that will recognize the rights of our people and will end the historical injustice inflicted upon them? It is Israel's breach of the agreements it had signed and its failure to comply with the obligations that have led us to the deadlock and stalemate we remain in now. The state of Palestine, an observer state in the United Nations, is a state under occupation. 138 countries supported the state of Palestine to become an observer state in the United Nations. The Executive Committee of the PLO, the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, wherever they may be, acts on behalf of our people as their government, and the Palestine National Council is the parliament of the State of Palestine, which is in accordance with the UN General Assembly Resolution 67/19, which was issued on the 29th of November 2012. We rely on the international community. We haven't lost hope yet. We rely on the international community to shoulder its responsibilities. We call on those countries that have harmed the rights of our people to rectify this injustice. Moreover, we appeal to countries that have not recognized the state of Palestine to do so, because those who believe in the two-state solution, and everyone speaks about the two-state solution, should recognize both states and not just one of them. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, in this 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly, I call on you to declare 2017 as the International Year to end the Israeli occupation of our land and our people. In June 2017, half a century of this abhorrent Israeli occupation would have passed. I also appeal to you in follow-up to Resolution 67/19, with the adoption of the resolution to enable Israel to present and co-sponsor resolutions beyond the question of Palestine, I call on you to support our efforts to enhance Palestine's legal and political status by granting it additional responsibilities to chair committees and international groups as we continue our efforts, thanks to your support, for full membership in international organizations, to be granted full membership in international organizations. Based on the above, the international community is called upon now more than ever to exert all efforts to bring an end to the Israeli occupation of the land of the State of Palestine. As you know, this is the longest and last occupation in contemporary history. the international community's ability to advance the rights of our people, to ensure their exercise of those very same rights, and to end the oppression and injustice imposed on our people for 7 decades would surely be a unique opportunity for peace, stability, and coexistence in our region and between the Palestinian and Israeli people. This will create a better future for the current generation and generations to follow. It will be the beginning and the basis for ending extremism and violence in our region and in the world. I thank you for your attention, and I hope from the depth of my heart that the Israeli occupation of our land will end, that we can defeat terrorism, that conflicts will come to an end, and that peace will prevail in our region and around the world. We and our people will continue to open the doors for peace, and we will do all we can to grant our people freedom and independence. We will remain steadfast on our land, and we will work to ensure the future of the next generations. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that I will not have to deliver this very same statement again next year. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that 2017 is the year of ending the occupation. Will you uphold this responsibility? Will you uphold this responsibility? I truly hope so. Peace and God's blessing be upon you all. Thank you.